my girlies. Today we are going to be chatting about all my little secrets that are keeping you stuck in your IBS anxiety. So, if you are struggling and you feel like you've tried everything and you're running the rat race, then this is definitely something you want to tune into, or if you're catching the replay, stay for the whole thing. Let me know where you're tuning in from, if you're watching live or if you're catching the replay. So, this is a thing that it's not gluten, it's not dairy, it's not soy, it's not shellfish, it's not any of those other things that we seem to want to point the finger at. Okay, we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into this whole topic because it's one of the major things that kept me stuck and kept me trapped and kept me on that health hamster wheel. And I see so many of the girlies that I've worked with over the course of the years, either through my Gut Accelerator program or my online courses, being stuck, doing all this stuff, wanting to do the elimination diets, but feeling exhausted by it, feeling like, it's too restrictive. And then, especially with the holidays coming around, just feeling like you can't apply it, right? Like it gets too hard if you leave the house. What are you going to do? How are you going to eat? And it really starts to bleed into your social life. And so, especially like as we enter into the holiday season, this is something I really want to bring more to you guys, is walking you step by step how you can really release all these food rules and all this kind of stuff. Because what I've learned along the way, and then today is a very special day to me. Not special, like it's hard. It's the 6-year anniversary of my mom passing, and I'm very reflective now that I'm back in the States and there's a lot of triggers and a lot of stuff, and I'm thinking about the last 6 years and how something I learned along the way is that you cannot be at war with your body and win. And when something traumatic like that happens, and when something outside of your control happens like that, we tend to want to pick the one thing that we can. And for me, that was my body. And so I started to pick apart my body. I started to control, manipulate, and sabotage it because that's what I could control. That was what was within my control. And so as the years went on, I saw that, I was at war with it and I was picking it apart and just feeling so stressed. And so it started with eliminating, dairy, then it got to gluten, then it got to grains, then it got to shellfish, then I got to like every spectrum of food or any diet out there I tried, because I had so much inside of me. And I was talking with my best friend this morning, and just like, what advice would I give my 22-year-old self at that time when that happened? And it's okay to run. Like, that's the first thing, is that it's okay to run, but don't confuse fear with love. And what I thought, and what I want to bring here, is that I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was giving my body love and all that kind of stuff, but really it was fear. I was fearing the messenger of what would come up. And now, as I realize I've done the healing on my physical body, like there's no bloating, I don't have any more food sensitivities, there's no anxiety. I mean, yes, okay, there's like general anxiety, but not the way it used to be. There's no more depression, there's no more medications. I literally take one supplement, sometimes two, depending on if I'm eating out or not. And that's it. And realizing that I was outrunning this messenger that was trying to catch up to me, that there was a deeper rooted issue. And let me know if that resonates with you, of just like, maybe you're quote unquote eating all the right things, but you're still being bloated, or your skin's still flaring up, or you still have really low energy. But then we're trying to find a supplement or a crash diet or a detox to outdo it, when we're not just listening to what that messenger is trying to tell us. And that's what I teach my girlies inside of Gut Recharge, because food is not the issue. And that's what was hard for me, is like, at that time, like, stress was my issue, right? Like, anxiety was my issue. My body not feeling like it was mine was my issue. But like, I wanted to outdo that. I wanted to take things away because that was the easier thing. It was easier for me to point a finger at bread and be like, that's the issue right there. Like, bread, you cannot have it. But wasn't looking at the body as a whole system and how the whole unit is. And the key pillar of what I was missing was how this whole thing is interconnected. It's not just my gut, it's not just my brain, it's the two combined. It's this whole gut-brain connection. And I didn't realize that I could not heal IBS had I not connected the two together and through the gut-brain axis. And that's why I set on the path of creating Gut Recharge and creating the programs, because if we're just chasing a symptom, if we're just chasing IBS, if we're just chasing constipation, bloating, any of that stuff, if we're just chasing depression and anxiety, you're going to be managing it. You're not actually healing it. You're just managing it. And that's what the problem with modern world science and all that kind of stuff is. Who wants to manage that? Like, I don't, because like if you don't, then how can you be spontaneous? How can you have freedom in your life? How can you go out and date? How can you go on spontaneous trips? How can you go to restaurants without knowing what's on the menu? How can you enjoy the holidays without bringing your own Tupperware? Like, all these things are taken from you because you're managing, you're not healing, you're not trusting this vessel, this healthy thing to do the work for you. And the one thing this beautiful body is always trying to do is keep you healthy and keep you safe. So the one secret is looking at the gut-brain connection. And so because I was out running and not looking at my stress levels and how that was playing into things, and how looking at, how stress was affecting my metabolic function, so then I wasn't able to digest food, so then I was becoming malnourished, which then I was cycling back in and not being able to digest foods, which then made me bloated, backed up, and suffering from IBS, which then made me malnourished and suffering from anxiety. So there's this whole cycle that was happening in and of itself. And this is why I love the approach building out for Gut Recharge, because when I went back to school to study about this stuff, I was just like, okay, yeah, like I still can't poop, I'm eating the right stuff, I'm going to study gut health, like become a specialist in that. But everything is about elimination. And if you know me by now, I have a history of an eating disorder. So everything with eliminating foods, it was just masking an eating disorder, masking more control in my life and not getting to the root. And I was like, okay, there has to be a better way. Like, there has to be a freaking better way to be doing this. Which is just exactly like why I created Gut Recharge. It's looking at the whole body approach. It's looking at how the gut and the brain are interconnected. And when you finally do that, you can heal anxiety, you can heal depression, you can heal IBS, constipation, your food sensitivities are gone. Like, yes, okay, like I still got bloated from time to time, but it is not every day. And like, I can enjoy coffee, I can enjoy, like today, once I'm finished with clients and these live streams, and then after I jump off here, I go into Gut Recharge and do our live coaching. But after that, I have the day off and we're gonna go celebrate life. And me and my partner were talking about we're gonna just go like eat food and enjoy. I'm like, because food can be emotional and it can be fun and it does not have to be feared. And like celebrate life because we get to. And when you can grasp that your body is always trying to deliver a message to you, okay? And you stop fighting it and you stop trying to out-supplement, you stop trying to outrun it, you get your freedom back. And I'm not saying that happens one day, right? Like that in one day. I'm like, this is a progression. This started years ago, guys, like years ago. I was sitting on my balcony and it was like 2 years ago. And I was sitting on my boyfriend at that time's balcony, just like needed to get my life together and realized, okay, so like what's the next right step? Not the full step. How am I going to get to, I had this blueprint in my life. I knew I wanted to feel a certain way. I wanted this, but okay, what's the next right step? And that's what ultimately led me to jumping into nutrition and then diving into, having respect for myself, because as you learn to nourish yourself and what fuels you well and not having food restrictions on it, you respect yourself. Like how much more love can I give myself today? And as a result, you give that to the world around you. And that's when like community and leadership and all the stuff came in. But this was over a 5-year time span, right? Like it wasn't one step, it was just one right step that led me to where I am today, and continually choosing every single day to show up with grace and to show up with permission and gratitude and just, okay, so how do we do better today? And how can I be a little bit more passionate today? And how can I love more, and not confusing this whole fear with love thing, but genuinely, how can I love a little bit more? And it shifts from day to day, and the right step isn't always clear, but just trusting that you're in that process and in that journey. And the only way you can do that is if you stop fighting your body and you start looking at this as a sign and an opportunity to dive in deeper, and looking at the whole body connection, like the gut and the brain, and working together, not separately, and not just one single, like by itself, not looking at the other, because you can't heal one without the other. That's just the way it is. You can manage, sure, you can take your supplements and cleanse every Monday and eliminate all the foods and all that kind of stuff, but isn't it time that this holiday season you give yourself the gift of cheer, you give yourself the gift of freedom to be fully present with your family and your friends and yourself, like to be with yourself and just not constantly be thinking about food and not being anxious and not worrying if like your clothes are going to fit, and having the freedom to take the other steps that come after food. Because when you release that, there is so much more out there. There is so much more freedom and abundance and life to be had, especially as we shift into another new normal, right? As we shift into this next chapter and shift out of 2020 and into 2021. And it's not like when the ball drops, the world's going to change. You can start making those changes today. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, and it sounds like, you know, you've tried everything and you feel like you can't succeed in this, it's not you, it's just you haven't had the right guidance, you haven't had the right steps, something that's tailored for you, something that is actually pragmatic and real life approach, and looking at the whole body as a system as opposed to chasing your symptoms, then I invite you to come check out this free training that I have, where I'm walking you through my 3 steps, my 3 secrets to healing your body. We're talking about why I don't believe in elimination diets. I'm telling you why what your doctors aren't telling you, and giving you my #1 hack to healing your gut forever, actually healing. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I will drop the link in the comments right here. And you can come get it. It's totally free. So just find a time that works best for you. Show up live, because you are getting the opportunity for some of that sneaky insider deals that you can only get if you show up live. And it's so freaking good, guys. Like the bonuses and the stacks, like, oh, it's incredible, and helps you exactly what you need. Like it's exactly what I wish I had 5 years ago. When I started to actually shift my thought patterns and wanting to make the change. So I invite you to check that out, and I will see you guys in there. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Sending you lots of love.